All right, everybody, welcome back to the best damn training channel on YouTube. We have finished up the Strictly Strength program last week, took the weekend off, and today is day one, week one of what I'm calling the Summer of Speed. So we're gonna take the next 12 weeks and we're gonna try to get as fast as we possibly can. My personal goal is I wanna hit 24 miles an hour, which means on a 10-meter fly section, I need to get down to like a 0.92 on that 10-meter fly. So that's gonna be goal number one for me. Goal number two is we're gonna probably end up running a 60 at the end of this program. So I'll set up a timing eyes, do everything I can, and we'll do a 60-meter sprint in here. There's no track meets coming up that I've looked into. I actually thought about just jumping into a track meet and doing a 100-meter dash or a 60-meter or whatever is available here in Iceland. There's nothing planned in Iceland. So I have no idea if anybody who is in Iceland maybe knows about a track meet that I might be able to hop into. Drop a comment down below, let me know. But if you're brand new to the channel, this is the best damn training channel on YouTube. My name is Blaine McCONNELL, and we are going to be going through a sprint and lifting session today. So for the Summer of Speed, I have two versions of this for those who have subscribed to my training program. Version number one is going to be more of like an elite or advanced style sprint program. So you're gonna be doing sprint sessions and lifting sessions in the same day. This is going to allow us to accumulate more volume over the course of the week, specifically in this first 4 weeks where it's more of a GPP. We're just trying to get in track shape. And then version two is for those who have busier lifestyles, who have full-time jobs, who've got other things that go on in their life, and training isn't the only thing that they need to focus on. In version number two, I've separated those sprint and lifting sessions into separate days so you can get the quality on each of those, but still programmed in a way where you got high days and low days. You'll be able to get fast. We're not really focused on getting as strong as possible right now because the sprint work is going to be the focus on that. So those two versions are available. You can click the link down below in the description, subscribe to the program, and follow along with everything that I've done here today and everything you're going to see over the course of the next 12 weeks. Today's track portion of the workout is going to be a little bit of resisted accelerations and then some unresisted accelerations along with some plyos. Now the plyos I'm switching up a little bit today because I saw Matt McKinnis-Watson do a broad jump variation where it was a seated broad jump into a hurdle jump. So I'm going to play around with this today. Probably do, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 total repetitions on this. Start warming up a little bit and then we're gonna get after it. So I didn't have this originally planned, but I saw Matt on there. I got tagged in it a bunch of times. So I told myself, you know what? I'm just gonna play around with it and see how this goes. So from a seated position, and by the way, everyone who was calling seated broad jumps Blaine broads, I fucking love you guys. It's absolutely incredible. The amount of videos I get tagged in on a daily basis on Instagram where people are calling seated broad jumps Blaine broads is amazing. I absolutely love it. But we're gonna be going from a seated position into a broad jump. We're going to stop our horizontal momentum, stick into the ground, and then jump over the hurdle. So the hurdle here, you guys can see I have a tape measure at this position right here. From the back of this white line to the hurdle is 2 meters right now. So I'm gonna be going from the white line or somewhere behind the white line and then essentially just kind of scooting this out until I feel like I'm hitting some max efforts on a couple of these jumps. All right, we're gonna go back to 2.5 meters. So that's 2.5 right here. I'll probably do a couple reps at 2.5. Had to zoom out a little bit, but we're at 2.5 meters and the hurdle height here is 76 centimeters on that first marker. All right, so I'm gonna progressively move this thing back. I've done 4 reps now, so we'll go to 3 meters. 2.5 feels pretty easy. And when I'm saying 3 meters, I'm saying 3 meters to the hurdle's vertical stance there. All right, I got 3 meters from the white line to the hurdle. We'll do 1 to 2 reps here and we'll scoot it back a little bit. 3 meters even feels pretty damn easy. All right, we've got this set up 3.5 meters from the white line to the vertical stance of the hurdle here. We'll do 1 to 2 and then we'll scoot it back again. Still feels easy. Something in me is telling me I got like 5 meters in me, which is, I don't know, but that sounds absurd. 5 meters, obviously I can't do a 5 meter broad jump. And I'm probably doing about 2.5 here because I'm getting to this point here and jumping up and over. But something tells me I can do between 4 and 5. And what I'm trying to do is really focus on getting vertical in this hurdle hop. I'm not just trying to do like a broad and then another broad a little bit higher. So you'll notice like I'm landing just about a foot or 2 feet past the hurdle, because what I'm focused on doing here, creating horizontal momentum. And what McKinnis Watson was saying in his Instagram post about this was the ability to change direction and get height from horizontal into vertical is the reason why he thinks this is probably one of the best jump variations in terms of training that you could do, because a lot of sport requires horizontal into vertical transitions. So that's kind of the focus I'm doing here. Obviously, I could do 2 broads and probably jump over the hurdle a considerable distance away, but I'm really trying to focus on getting here, sticking that landing, and transitioning and getting as much height on those broad jumps that I can get. So I probably got 3 to 4 more attempts on this. I've done 2 at 350. We'll go ahead and scoot this back to 4 meters right here. 4 meters from the white line to the vertical stance on the hurdle here. That was a shitty rep. I need to kind of stick that transition. I need to plant and get some height. There it is. That was much better. I want to hear the feet kind of hit the ground and just kind of like pop. I think 4 is good for today. So I'll do a few more reps here into the 4 meter mark, and then we'll set up for our first set of sled sprints and accelerations. I think that's good. I've done about 10 reps total. So I'm gonna lace up the spikes. First thing here that we're gonna do for the sprint work today is 2 rounds of a 20 meter sled sprint, followed by a 20 meter acceleration with no sled. So we'll go sled sprint, no sled, sled sprint, no sled. And then we'll do a couple 30s to end. And as I do these unresisted accelerations, we're gonna have the cones up and we'll start timing some of these 20s and 30s just so we can have base numbers for where we're at right now, and then compare that later on, let's say 4 weeks from now, 8 weeks from now, and then obviously 10 weeks or 12 weeks from now when we do our testing. So load up the sled and then let's get after it. All right, so what I'm looking at doing with the sled today is I'm going with a lighter sled. Generally, if I'm doing 10 or 15 or 20 meter accelerations with the sled, I'm gonna be somewhere around 20 to 30 kilos on this. The last 12 weeks, I've been hammering pretty heavy sled acceleration work. So I wanna lighten this up a little bit, get a little bit more exposure to resistance, but at higher velocities. So lightening up the sled and doing longer resistance sprints is going to allow me to still get some resisted work in with the sled, but allow me to also hit some higher velocities, which I think is going to help me with the goal of hitting my 24 miles an hour and then running whatever a fast 60 meter sprint for me is going to be. So this 15 kilo sprint, we're going to go from this cone here down to the end there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's going to be 20 meters. We're just going to do 1. So we're going to sprint down 1 time. We're going to walk back, take a little breather, and then we're going to do a 20 meter acceleration from back where I was doing those broad jumps, which is going to be at that start line. And then I'll have these cones set up to where I can get my first 10 meter split, my second 10 meter split, and then my full 20 meter split on that as well. So the plan is to do 2, maybe 3 of those. Then we'll do 3 30s, which will do the same thing. We'll have the cones set up and we'll get the splits for each 10 meter section, and then 0 to 30 on that. And then we'll head into the weight room, and I'll tell you, and as we get into the weight room, I'll explain what the focus of Monday's weight room sessions are going to be. There it is, 298. I don't know if y'all can see it here, but on this 298, it says the first 0 to 10 was a 177, 10 to 20 was a 121, which gives us our 298. And I was able to get to about 18.5 miles an hour there on that last 10 there. So from 10 to 20 was just under 19 miles an hour, 18 and a half. So not awful overall, but definitely doesn't feel good. Essentially what I'm gonna do is sleds down here. We'll do 20 meters going back again, and then we'll run another 20 and see what that compares for the first rep there. $290. If we look at the numbers here, what I can see is top speed from 10 to 20 was over 19, where the top speed from 10 to 20 was 18 and a half. So that last 10 over the course of this was much faster. Stride frequency was slower, but length was a lot further. So it's interesting to have this stride data on this as well. I was able to get faster speed on this, although I didn't have as many strides, but the length increased pretty considerably from 179 to 186. So that's probably where that speed came from on that 10 to 20 split there. The first split, 0 to 10, was relatively the same. It was that 10 to 20 that got a lot faster. Plan here now is to run 2 to 3 30s. I want to stay feeling as good as I can today. So I cut off the last rep for the complex using the sled into the unresisted acceleration because I'm trying to feel out how doing track speed work going straight into the weight room is going to feel. So I'm being a little bit more conservative, staying at the lower end of the ranges that I've given myself. So I got 2 to 3 30s, same thing. If I hit 2 and I feel really good and I'm happy with the times on those, then I'll probably just go straight to the weight room. If I'm feeling like one of those times might have been off or I had a sloppy rep here or there, then I might do all 3, but we'll play it as we go. So 3 30s here. I've got the cone set up now to where I've got 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and then 0 to 30. So I'll get a multiple amount of splits here on this, along with all the stride data with the new free lap chip here as well. All right, I did 2 30s, and I'm gonna hit one more because I'm really interested to see if I can put this together and do a solid rep here. Rep number 1 was a 406, and the splits went 181, 0 to 10, 119, 10 to 20, and then 105, 20 to 30. The second rep was considerably faster from 0 to 10 and 10 to 20, even though the fly was relatively the same. So I went from 0 to 10 being a 181 to 0 to 10 on that second rep being a 175. So that's where that speed came from. And then I went from 119 to 117. And then the last 20 to 30, the first rep was a 105. The second rep was a 106. So I want to see if I can hit something like a 175 on that first 10, and I can also drop that 105 down to like a 103, 104. Then I should be able to get this to like the mid 90s on the 30 here. But top speed on the second rep was actually slower, but the speed on that came from that first 10. So going from a 181 to a 175 set me up to have a lot faster of a time there, because my top speed on the first 30 was 21.3 miles an hour. My top speed on the second 30 was 21.1 miles an hour. Is another reason why I like getting this data, is because it just goes to show you that top speed isn't necessarily going to make or break a race. There's multiple factors that go into a rep from 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. Being able to have this chip and allow me to see those splits is really interesting. So I'm going to rest it up here a little bit, and I'm going to do one more rep, hopefully stay in the 1.7s for that 10, and then try to drop this 20 to 30 down to like a 104, 103. All right, so I was able to hit a 398 and a 399. The difference between the two, from the 398 to the 399, was like slight rounding differences between like the thousandths of each of those. So the splits are relatively identical, 175, 117, 106. The 399 was also a 175, 117, 106. And those three numbers are 175 from 0 to 10, 117 from 10 to 20, and then 106 from 20 to 30. That gives me the full time. But the difference is the stride frequencies and the stride lengths were a little bit different. So the stride frequency went up on the 399 from 20 to 30. So relatively the same. I'm gonna count the 399 and the 398 as good reps. 406 was probably just like a transition going from 20s into 30s and wasn't feeling probably the best before that. But we're gonna head into the weight room now. And I haven't done a lot of sprint sessions straight into a weight room session. So the focus on the weight room work needs to be complementary to the track work. So doing acceleration work with the sled, doing shorter accelerations work, we're focusing on power. We're trying to be explosive. We're not necessarily focused on the max velocity, trying to hit as fast as speeds that we can, but we're focused on creating a lot of power and covering ground as quickly as we can through these 20 to 30 meter sections here. So when we go into the weight room, we got to try to work on those same aspects so we're not conflicting with sending too many different stimulus into the body within a certain time period and within a certain day. So when we go into the weight room, we're going to be doing some lighter weight trap bar deadlifts at like 60%, 65%, and we're going to be trying to move that bar as quickly as we can. And then we're going to go into a little bit of accessory stuff with some hamstring work and some core work as well. So it's not a lot of volume in the weight room, but we got a few things that we're going to do to kind of cap off today and be able to bring day one of Summer of Speed to an end here. So I'm going to pack everything up, put my shoes on, drive to the gym, and we're going to get after it with some trap bar deadlifts first. All right, so there you have it. Day one, Summer of Speed is in the books. Sprinting and lifting. I feel like it went okay. The volume for today was good. The intensity for today was good. Chose to do the trap bar deadlift because it allows me to be in a little bit shorter range of motion, move the weight that I want to move a little bit more quickly, and then did some hamstring work and then some split squats just to get a little bit of accessory work in there today. So I had to mute those clips because there was music playing and I didn't want to get a copyright strike from YouTube. Unfortunately, there's no background for those clips there, but I did get to film one set of each of the exercises I did today so you guys could see that. So tomorrow, I'm going to be back at the track again with a different type of setup for the track session. So this is the first time in a long time where I'm going to the track in back-to-back days. And then we've got a little bit different of a setup for the weekly split, which I'm very excited for because remember, this cycle is focused strictly on trying to get as fast as we can on the Summer of Speed. So I appreciate y'all for watching. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.